Hello, I'm Gareth Davies, and this is the Championship Rounds for PitchBoxing, where I bring you all the interviews from the combat sports world. Enjoy. I wasn't expecting this to happen, but I've just run into, would you believe it, it's the legendary Bob Arum wandering around the stadium of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And he was actually waxing lyrical about looking out on the pitch. It's a pretty awesome stadium, isn't it?
Well, particularly since 2 weeks ago, watching at home, I saw my great American football team, the New York Giants, finally win a very, very significant victory right here.
Yeah, and how did it look to you on TV? It's better in person, isn't it?
But it looked tremendous on TV.
So, Bob, there's a reason why we're here. Tyson Fury, Derek Chisora. A lot of people be blowing spume into the air over this one a little bit, saying, Fury's beaten Chisora twice. We all wanted to see him fight Usyk. The Joshua fight was being teased with Tyson, and now we've got Chisora. So people are going to say, we got the C side of the record of the vinyl. I've spoken to Frank Warren about this already, and he said, look, we've looked down the list, and there wasn't really anyone else right now, and this was the only viable opponent ahead of fighting Usyk in the first third of next year.
Yeah, and again, when you fight somebody like Chisora, who is quite a puncher, you're taking a risk. Because it's not like you're fighting a guy who's a really good boxer, but you're going to overwhelm him with your power. You're in with a guy like Chisora, and if he lands the lucky punch on you and hits you, square on, you could be in trouble. That's the real mystery about the fight.
Is that always a fear as a promoter, that when you're kind of doing it's not a semi-final because it's a world title defence of the WBC crown, but is that always a fear that as a promoter that the banana skin, that the unexpected happens?
Well, it's a fear because it's happened to me. Let me give you an example. Many years ago, I had this heavyweight champion, Tommy Morrison. And he was lined up to fight Lennox Lewis in the unification.
Can I say the great Tommy Morrison, because he was so popular?
Yeah, he was. Tommy Morrison was
one of the great characters.
Popular,
yeah,
and he was a movie star and everything. And so his manager said, "Look, let's give him a tune-up fight, so that when he fights Lennox Lewis for a lot of money." He'll really be ready. And, some of us really said, hey, no, you don't take a chance. But we got a guy, Michael Bent, who was a pretty good heavyweight, but not really good. And Morrison, in the first round, gets in there, starts teeing off on him, and from nowhere, Bent throws a punch and knocks Morrison cold. And that ends the dream. Right? It ended the dream, and then subsequently we brought Bent over here to fight
Herbie Hyde.
Herbie Hyde.
I remember
right?
they were fighting on the rooftop for the press conference.
Exactly.
Herbie Hyde was a loose cannon, a great loose cannon, and he beat Tony Tucker for the title in the end.
Yeah.
He beat Bent.
He beat Bent, and I co-promoted that fight with Eddie's father, Barry.
Yeah. So. You will also tell me that the thing is about Tyson Fury as well, he's probably head and shoulders above every heavyweight out there right now.
Well, no question, because I think, the truth is that who would you pick now against Deontay Wilder? Which heavyweight would you pick? This guy hits like a mule and so forth. And he unloaded on Tyson Fury a couple of times, but Fury was able to knock him out. I mean, that's a really great accomplishment.
Yeah, talk of the man. Here is Tyson, Bob. Here is Tyson. Bob, here we go, and here he is. Here is Tyson coming over to say hello to Bob.
How are you? Nice to see you. I didn't know he was coming. Get us in.
There you are together.
Man's
Yeah,
110 years old.
he's just saying,
Fitter than any man 20.
don't let the Michael Bent, Tommy Morrison moment happen here on December the 3rd.
To Tommy Morrison, he got chinned in one round. By
Yeah,
Michael
exactly.
Bent,
We're
didn't
just saying, and he was lining him up.
People say
He
to
was
me,
lining
"Oh,
him
you
up for
beat
Lennox
him up,
Lewis at
you
the
beat
time.
Two people, you beat this guy twice before. This is heavyweight boxing. Chisora's a formidable puncher. 1-8, it's over.
He's a better fighter now than when you are as well, but he's a better fighter now than.
Shut up.
than- What's the pink?
Shut up.
What's the pink?
Right, I'll be with you.
for,
Let me deliver it, I'll be back.
Make the girls win.
Long time no see.
So I'm still here with Bob Arum. That was. That's it. Or I'm just letting all the important people meet and greet Bob for a moment.
Memorial for Saul Curzon.
Yeah.
So I came in and Franco had the press conference. So
I thought you'd come to buy Tottenham.
what?
I thought you'd come to buy the club.
No, but let me tell you something. This was the scene of the greatest victory for my team, the New York Giants, in years when they beat the Packers
It's an
a
amazing,
weeks ago.
it's an amazing stadium.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. You're talking
I'll
about
let you
Wilder,
carry-
Bob.
I'll let you carry on
Thank
with-
you. Thanks, Rob. So let me just ask you, Bob. You were saying how with what Deontay Wilder's just achieved coming back. I mean, it was an incredible knockout.
Yeah.
It just shows you what kind of chin Tyson Fury's got. He's got everything, hasn't he?
Is
If
that
you've got a chin as a
unbelievable?
heavyweight.
Yeah.
Well, he's been down 4 times from this guy, and that the first time he rose like Lazarus, didn't he? I mean, it
Right,
was quite
yeah.
incredible. And I think, is there grounds for us to perhaps think that at some point Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder might meet for a 4th time?
Well, you never say no. You
Yeah.
never say no. But obviously, the fight, hopefully he gets by Chisora. And if he does, I'll be meeting next week.
With Krasiuk and
New York,
Klimas and all those guys.
With Igor Klimas, who's the manager of
yeah.
Lomachenko.
Yeah.
Usyk will be there.
Yeah.
So we'll have a big discussion of where we go. I mean, we're not going to sit around and wait for the Saudis forever.
Do you, hand on heart, think that Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua will ever step in a ring?
Yeah, I think so. If Eddie Hearn would step out of the way. In other words, I really think Joshua was sincere about wanting to fight Tyson Fury, but Hearns, for his own reason, mucked it up. I mean, once you agree on the split, everything else, you sit around and you work out in 2 hours.
I've asked you this before, and just to recap on Tyson Fury, he's become a special figure as a sportsman, as a
Right.
person. You've made comparisons with him and the charisma of Muhammad Ali, haven't you? They're not set the same as boxers, they're different, but you've made comparisons.
Yeah, and they're not the same as personalities because Tyson is a lot less political.
Yeah, he's more of an
And
entertainer.
I'm more of an entertainer, but both tremendously charismatic. Both capture the attention of the public with the kind of personalities they have.
I want to ask you about a couple of other things while we're here. What's the chance of getting Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson in a ring together in the next 12 months?
Well,
I'd lightweight.
I think very, very good. Very good. First of all, they both now fight under the top-ranked banner.
Yes.
I think that the plan is that if Lomachenko comes through on October 29th, that next year we'll match Haney and Lomachenko, and we'll go from there. But there are a lot of great fighters in the lightweight division.
And on to the women. You've said to me before we started recording off air that you felt that Michaela Meyer deserved victory on Saturday night in London. An amazing event, 20,000 people for 11 women's fights, 5 weeks delayed, 2 tremendous co-main and main features with Baumgarten and Meyer, Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall. Great advert for the sport and for women's boxing. You felt Meyer just pipped that. Do you think she deserves a rematch, Bob, against Baumgartner?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. It was. I wasn't here, but I watched it on television in the United States. Todd was here,
We saw him.
Yeah, and he thought that Michaela had won the fight, but it was very, very close fight. And sure, a rematch is called for, but we'll see.
Has the paradigm shifted? You tried years ago with Mia St. John and other women's boxers to really create million-dollar babies, as they were called at the time. Do you think the paradigm is now shifting? And, if I can ask, is it time for them to go to 12 two-minute rounds rather than have 10 two-minute rounds?
Well, I don't know about 2-minute rounds. I mean, I don't think there's a big difference between 10 and 12, but I don't know why they don't fight 3-minute rounds instead of 2-minute rounds. But, you know, that's a discussion for another day. But they drew tremendously here in the UK. I think that's a tribute to the UK boxing fans. But in the United States, I'm still very uncertain whether there's any draw.
Well, it's the same. There's definitely a paradigm shift gone on here, no question. Definitely a change in the guard for women's boxing, definitely. But I think it's the same in America for Spence and Crawford. That's not being made because it's not a big enough draw for the whole country. I think it's the same for several other fighters there as well.
Well, you know, let's.
It's a crowded landscape, isn't it? It's a crowded landscape.
When I looked at the pictures of the crowd for the women's fights, I saw more women in the audience than I've ever seen.
Yes.
There must have been more than 50%
Yeah,
women.
yeah.
Well, that hasn't happened yet in the United States, and I don't know if it will happen in the near future.
Can I ask a final question? If you were promoting Deontay Wilder, and I know it's a rival promoter with Al Heyman and PBC, there are 5 enormous fights for him over here. Another Tyson Fury fight potentially, Anthony Joshua, Dillian White, Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois, and maybe others. Why isn't he coming over here when we're filling stadiums?
Well, that's not for me to say.
But what would you do if you...
I would bring him over here.
Because he could make $150 million fighting
I
here.
agree completely.
Yeah.
I agree completely. This now is the center of heavyweight boxing.
Can you give me a straight answer? Could I be a good promoter, or do I not know shit about boxing, Bob?
No, you'd be a good promoter.
Oh no, you're supposed to say I don't know shit about boxing.
No,
Come
I
on.
know that's beside the point. You don't know shit about boxing, but you're right about the fact that Wilder should come over here and fight some of the big Brits, like Dillian White, like Joshua.
Joyce, all of them.
Joyce,
all of them.
Dubois,
I've seen the change. I was saying to the guys that were interviewing for the Netflix series, I'm so glad you've said that you realise that if you keep boxing, even though there's an algorithm there, you've got to look after your brain, that you'll live longer and stay healthier. You know?
Sure, and I stand by those comments.
Yeah.
In order for me to have a healthy lifestyle, I've got to fight. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes about it.
How does Dad feel about that?
Nobody's happy. They all wanted me to retire.
How's Paris? Because she's your rock. How's Paris about it?
Not happy. Nobody's happy. But I suppose if I'm happy, then the world's happy.
Do you think you'll still be boxing when your oldest son comes through and starts having his fights? Because he started, hasn't he?
He has.
And how do you feel about that?
Very happy. I'm going to get Sugar Hill to train him. And he could be the next heavyweight on the dynasty of Furies.
If Derek Chisora was here now, right, and the rice was dry, yeah, could he hit you with the rice?
Probably not. I'm no other way.
Is it going to be that kind of fight?
No, it's not. Not going to be that type of fight. It's going to be a head-to-head war, and the loser will fall. That's the promise.
Have you looked back at those 2 other fights you had with him at all? Will you watch them in the lead-up?
No. I'm experienced enough now to know that no 2 fights are alike. No 3 fights are definitely alike.
Talking about 3 fights, I think you'll be the only reigning champion in history to have 2 trilogies, weren't you?
Yeah. There's never been one before me. has
No,
there,
in
to have 2
heavyweights, no,
trilogies?
no.
I'm the only one. So it's a bit more record-breaking stuff. And that was a factor in why as well. Some of the reason why that we picked Chisora over Manuel Char.
Would Andy Ruiz have been a good opponent as well?
He would have done, but the WBC have ordered him to fight Deontay Wilder for a final eliminator. However, I think Chisora is more popular in England than Andy Ruiz is.
Deontay Wilder last weekend looked spectacular again against Robert Helenius. Did it give you thoughts back to those 3 fights with him?
Nightmares.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
not really. We all know that Wilder can punch really hard. And we all know that he's a formidable opponent. Dangerous. Whatever he hits, he'll knock out.
Is there a prospect of you fighting him for a 4th time?
Yeah, there is. If the Usyk fight's not made after this by February or March, the WBC will call a mandatory in April.
Yeah. And it could be him again.
Yeah.
You've gone on record as saying in the last few days that you may never fight Anthony Joshua. In fact, you've said you probably won't fight him now. You don't feel that he took the opportunity when he was given it.
I just ain't got time for messing around. I'm 34-year-old. And I ain't got time for all the messing. If I want something, go out and buy it. If I can afford it. If I can't afford it, I save up for it and then go and buy it. So I don't do all this little fancy smancy, hide behind the curtains kind of stuff. I either do it or I don't.
You've called him a businessman and yourself a Spartan. You said you spoke to Eddie Hearn about that way back, or last year in America, or earlier in the year in America. Do you think he, as a boxer and a fighter, actually wanted that fight with you?
No.
But his team pulled him out? Or do you think it comes down to him?
I'll ask you a question. I know you're a journalist and you can't really have too much opinion. However, you can answer a simple question. If my team, being Bob Arum, Frank Warren, Sugar Hill, said to me, we don't want you to fight Derek Chisora, do you think that would sway my opinion on fighting Derek Chisora at all or hold any weight?
No, I think you've made your own mind up about it.
Say no more. We don't need to say any more, do we? There we are. I would make my own decision. And Frank Warren's here, 70-odd-year-old, and he's been around the game and back. And Bob's 91, and he's been around the corner and back as well. And they can tell you that I am man enough to make up my own mind when it comes to fighting. There's nothing to it. There ain't nothing that could say, oh, don't fight this person, and I'm not going to do it. Yeah. I will do exactly what I want to do. And if a sponsor said to me, don't fight Tyson Fury, I'd say, sponsor, out the door with you. You're no longer my sponsor. I've replaced you. There's 20 more behind you looking to refill your boots. Done. End of. That's it.
You love the Wembley Stadium fight. What does it feel like to be coming back to entertain the fans again and give the fans?
We'll have a little look and answer that question.
Come on then.
So look at that. That's a crowd. That's a lovely venue. I like it. Outdoor stadium, middle of the winter. Very, very Jimmy King-esque.
Great.
And I cannot wait to come to Tottenham and put on a show. And most of all, after the show, I want to get some of those Tottenham beers that they make, and they just put the glass on top of the thing, and it fills up the pint.
We'll have a few. Thanks very much, Tyson, as always.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, Gareth. You're a star.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Steve.
Right.
That was Tyson Fury sit down with film by the Netflix series that's being made about him. He's just sat with the national newspapers. He's so lucid on all things now. I really do think he's turned a corner, and the fact that he is now talking about realizing that boxing is part of his own mental health, I think is a big change for him. He's going to have big struggles with his family because I know Paris personally wants him to stop. Big John Fury, his dad, wants him to stop. But the truth is, this man is happiest when he's out in front of the fans, in front of the crowds, in the gym, training hard, and being the Gypsy King. He needs to get into that alter ego. I think it helps him mentally. Otherwise, we might lose the guy. Darkness could come for him again. Great to see him anyway.